Good morning. Welcome to the Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. My name is Ilya Kowalchuk, and I could not be more happy to be here today. I'll be your service leader for today, and I'm super excited to be joined by Linda Thornton as our worship associate. Wanted to thank also today's music providers. Tad is going to be providing music for us, along with singers Debbie Larson, Shelley Barnard, and Amy Austin. So thank you for that. I've gotten to hear them already, and you're in for a treat. And thanks also extra special to today's tech team, Lara Sherwood, Paula Zimmerman, and Deborah Mensch. As I say today's welcome words, I invite you to consider your journey. I invite you to consider how you have walked all the miles of your journey by yourself, with others. Please bring a welcome heart today, an adventurous spirit, as you're willing and able. You are all welcome here today. No matter what, you are welcome here. If you're new here, we're glad you found us and hope that this community, whether you're with us in person or virtually, you can experience the warmth and love of this congregation. Please come back a few times to get to know us. I will not be the service associate again. We have many opportunities during the week as well to connect socially as well as spiritually. Those who are on Zoom can also check out the following links to help you get connected virtually. If you're in person, you're welcome to stop by the welcome table in the foyer for fellowship information, as well as a newcomer form if you'd like to be contacted about more information about our fellowship. There's also now a QR code on the back of the hymnal if that works for you. Everyone on Zoom is welcome to stay after the service for a conversation virtually. And if you're here in the fellowship hall today, we invite you to join us for coffee hour afterwards. You can bring your coffee back here into the sanctuary for our Inquirers session, which I'll talk about later. It starts about 15 minutes after the service. It's going to be in person only, and it will be about small group ministry today, as well as some youth programs. If you are joining us on Zoom, please feel free to greet each other in the Zoom chat right now. And if you're a newcomer, let us know so we can greet you. We love to know who is among us. And for those of you in the sanctuary, please take a moment right now to welcome those around you. Thank you. There's always a part of me when I'm sitting out in the sanctuary saying hello to my friends that I haven't seen in a bit, and I'm annoyed that the service has to keep going because I want to keep talking. So I appreciate you. If you have a chalice at home, please light it with us as Linda lights our fellowship chalice. And so we know where all of our chalices are, you're welcome to write in the chat, chalice lit, and the name of your town. If you don't have a chalice, a candle can suffice. Please say the words along with me as I light our chalice. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action. And now I'll sing our bowl once again, inviting it to draw you deeper into the present moment and this, our beloved community. And to start us off today, I'd like to welcome Cameron Wise to the dais to offer today's Pledge Drive testimonial. Thank you, Cameron.
Ever since I volunteered to be a pledge steward, I have been wondering how to wear this, because I don't, necessarily want to wear it the way it is in the historic photograph. I considered putting it on and like an infant and have a binky in my mouth, but I have not found the right way. So here it is on my waist. I am here to let you know why I pledge my strengths, my heart, and dollars to this fellowship. Something that strikes me as unusual is the fact that the amount I pledge is up to me. Where else can I go that the amount I pledge is up to me? The coffee shop? No. The grocery store? No. The doctor's office? Certainly not. As a matter of fact, at the doctor's office, when I check in, they always ask me to sign something about surprise billing. And I eagerly sign that little black electronic pad. I don't read the disclaimer. Who doesn't like surprises? And here in our Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, there are so many pleasant surprises. Sunday services each week, activities to attend throughout the week. There are opportunities to explore my soul and spirit, and opportunities to volunteer my time here in the neighborhood, here in Colorado, or even to be active in charities across the globe. All these opportunities are here, always, for everyone. And speaking of inclusion, if you are experiencing financial hardship, simply speak with Carol Pransky, our office manager, because you are welcome here and we want you involved. If you have already pledged, thank you. If you've not, please do so today. Here in this community, we are not told what to believe, but we're guided to ask questions about what we value as individuals and collectively and as a community. So I ask this question: if you have not done so, would you please make your pledge today?
Hello, thank you, Cameron. Cameron does, well, I don't know the exact dollar amount that Cameron pledges every year, but he sure gives a lot of his time to the music ministry here, and we're very lucky that he's such a valuable part of that. Today we're going to go on a journey. Our message today is about undertaking a physical and spiritual journey. So we're going to sing one of our favorite songs about doing so, Wo Ya Ya, which is number 1020 in your teal hymnal. Just know we like to go back to the top of the second page and sing "It Will Be Hard, We Know" a second time, just so we really are sure of that point. All right, please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing Wo Ya Ya, 1020.
I gotta get a tissue here. There might be some crying. To start off today's opening words, I just want to let you all know that wearing the clothes that I wore on the Camino is the backpack that I carried. And it was a magical journey that I'm excited to share with you. When people hear that I walked over 1 million steps, more than 510 miles, or 790 kilometers, across Spain in 35 days, with my wife and 2 teenagers, their eyebrows go up and their mouths open a little bit like yours just did. This pilgrimage is known as the Camino de Santiago, which translates into the Way of St. James. Each year, hundreds of thousands of pilgrims, Christian and secular alike, walk or bike many different routes across Europe that all converge on the city of Santiago in Spain, all the while wishing each other a buen camino. Most travel with the goal of self-discovery and also arriving at the cathedral in Santiago, where it's rumored that the remains of St. James rest. Now, I don't know about the remains, but I can tell you that this pathway is a powerful, energetic channel in the world. Along the way, we carried everything we needed with us on our backs. And as you might imagine, deciding what to bring was a laborious and stressful process. You pack your fears is a common sentiment heard along the Camino. And me, being the annoying conversationalist, kept asking fellow pilgrims, what's in your backpack of fears? Some bristled, and others stuck around. Now, my pack, you might notice, is pretty small. It was devoid of any extras. Not because I was devoid of fears, though, because I was scared of a heavy pack. Thank you. I was scared of a heavy pack that might injure my arthritic shoulder. Another pilgrim that I met was carrying 20 pounds of protein powder. As a 60-year-old man, he was concerned about losing muscle mass along the journey. Pilgrims brought extra pairs of shoes, extra medication, 4 knee braces to guard against this journey. But then, the farther we walked, the more we got to know one another, the more that we were stripped bare. That was when the Camino worked its magic on us. Without trying, we understood that the physical weight of these items, they paled in comparison to the other fears that we carried. The expectations of my father, being alone, the responsibilities of adulthood, having failed my children, succumbing to depression, not living up to my potential. Pilgrims would share these things along the way with me. Each of us here walk our own way. I encourage you to periodically pause, unzip your pack, look deep inside. What are you carrying in your backpack of fears? What can you take out and leave on the side of the trail? How often do our fears actually manifest?
There is no roadmap for these days, but if you want to ease your mind, you gotta look inside. You gotta look inside. There is no roadmap for these days, but if you want to find some grace, you gotta look inside. You gotta look inside. Know your heart is crying, please, but if you want to find some peace, you gotta look inside. You gotta look inside. You're looking to the stars above. You got all you need, and that is love. You gotta look inside. You gotta look inside. Everything that my heart needs is inside of me. Everything that my heart needs is inside. Everything that my heart needs is inside of me. Everything that my heart needs is inside. Everything that my heart needs is inside of me. Everything that my heart needs is inside. Is inside. Is inside. Is inside of me.
Camino is a road or a way. In this story, it's a river. Let me tell you about my Camino from a couple years ago. Imagine there's a pandemic and you're trying to figure out how to have some fun without being around other people. My husband, my son, and I bought some river tubes and went down to Confluence Park in Denver. There is a charming little area where the stairs go right up alongside the river. You can climb up the stairs, put your tube in at the top, ride the rapids down, and there's nothing to worry about. Because at the bottom of the rapids, the river widens and slows to nearly a standstill. So no matter how wild the rapids are, you'll eventually just coast to a stop and can walk out the river. And that's what we did. We had a blast climbing up the stairs, tubing down the rapids. I would Jonathan would hold, my husband, he would hold the tube near the slow bank of the river, and I would climb in, and then he would just shove me into the center. But one time, I decided I could jump into the tube myself. I set the tube in the river, and then I backed up to go sit into it, and the tube was gone. The river had started to pull the tube away before I sat in it, and I ended up just sitting in water with my hand gripping the handle of the tube. And then I was swept away down the rapids. The tube was out in front, and I was dangling, being pulled back from behind it. And I was panicking. But I reassured myself that as long as I held the handle, at least I wouldn't drown. This tube would be my life preserver, and eventually I would make it to the flat shallows at the bottom. So I gripped the tube, I gripped that handle with all my might. This was the path I had chosen, and it sucked. Water splashed over my head, rocks were scratching at my legs, and boulders were bouncing me around. I scanned the bank looking for help, and I saw my husband. We locked eyes, and he yelled 2 words at me. Let go. Without thinking, I let go of the handle, and the tube shot down the rest of the river, straight through the rapids. And me? Well, I just stood up. I was still in the rapids, but the water was shallow, only coming to about above my knees. I waded to the edge, crumbled to the ground, and just shook for a long time. Has that happened to you? Not necessarily wild tubing at Confluence Park, but a time when you've decided your path, and you're on that path, and that path sucks. But you don't allow yourself to question your choice. You've let the current take you. And you forgot that you have the option to just let go. The path you pictured yourself on when you started your journey was your plan. It was your best plan based on who you were and what you knew at the moment. Your path may be your career, a relationship, a house. Yes, you made that choice. But Camino is an active re-choosing day after day. Tomorrow, I start my new Camino. It's my first day back in college. Thank you. Not to advance my 20-year career of working with children, but to veer off in something totally different, a graphic designer. I'm turning my hobby into career 2.0. And what about you? Are you in some rapids right now? Are you clinging to a tube that is doing you more harm than good? Are you trying to hold your breath until you reach the shallows? Consider this a holler from a friend along the bank of the river. Consider this a reminder that you have the option to just stand up and let go. Each week, we remind ourselves of the abundance of our lives and this community by giving half of our plate away to those organizations that share our values. Today, the half plate is for Colorado Statewide Parent Coalition, CSPC. This is a grassroots movement empowering well-informed and skilled Latinx parents who ensure that their children arrive at kindergarten ready to learn. CSPC involves parents at the most basic level of child growth and development before they enter the public education system. Many BVUUF members volunteer as tutors to school-age children who live in this region. These relationships have been rewarding for all those involved. Members interested in tutoring should contact Pat Boltop to be matched up with the family requesting this type of support. Thank you for giving generously, as you so often do. As our musical reflection begins, we invite you to reflect upon this and write in the chat if you're on Zoom your answer to this question. What are you carrying in your backpack of fears?
For the work of the fellowship, for bringing love, reason, compassion, and justice into the world, and for the work of the Colorado Statewide Parent Coalition, we dedicate these offerings. Linda. As you may have noticed, I'm not a particularly shy person. With lots of people to talk to and plenty of time on the Camino, our family quickly grew from 4 to 9. We wound up collecting people along the way. We would stay in the same hostels and share rooms, get to know each other. Aaron from Chicago, Mac from Cleveland, and Mario, Johannes, and Tini, all from Germany. I think a few of them are actually watching on Zoom right now, so hi and thanks for coming. I miss y'all. The following is a true journal entry. Day 27, Cacabelos to Vega de Valcarce, 15 miles. I don't know how to write this story, but I'll give it my best shot. I finished yesterday's entry by saying that I was going to be open to what the world and what life had to reveal to me. Yesterday may have been the hardest day of the Camino. It was supposed to be a joyful day, celebrating Mario's birthday. We meandered through Ponferrada and found a dollar store and bought a bunch of gaudy decorations, which we decorated his backpack as a surprise while he was getting lunch. Mario is a very reserved person, so this was a bit over the top, but he handled it with great humor. The day, though, got unexpectedly hot, with no shade and many miles to go. We finally found our lodging, and I collapsed into bed. For the first time during the journey, immediately. And I was able to catch a stage of the Tour de France. I'm a cycling fan, and it was a really important stage. We got to our room just as the crucial part of the stage was ramping up to its climax, and I was relaxing in bed for about 90 minutes watching the race. And then, unexpectedly, we got a knock on our door, and it was Tini from across the hall. And she had a look of sheer horror on her face. She had found live bed bugs in her room, just across the hall. Bed bugs can significantly impact the Camino through painful bites, itching, and just inconvenience. We shoved our belongings into our backpacks, demanded a refund, and sprinted to the local laundromat to wash and dry our belongings in hot, hot water. The one way to kill bed bugs and prevent them from hitchhiking along as you move forward. Some of the family found food and other lodging, and the rest of us stayed in the laundromat, trying to make the best of a stressful situation. Plus, bed bugs are just gross. Hours later, we walked into our secondary lodging, which resembled in appearance and privacy a chicken coop. And we ended this day by singing Happy Birthday to Mario while getting the evil eye from other pilgrims who were trying to sleep in their coops. And instead of a lovely cake by the river, which I had hoped, the candles were jammed into a partially eaten Domino's pizza. And Mario in the background taking the photo was gracious and expressed his appreciation for our ability to come together as a family and support one another. But I just couldn't shake my funk. I was angry that things went this badly. I was upset that I couldn't keep the family safe from incident. Like that was my responsibility. This just wasn't the way that it was supposed to go. Something was jilted in my universe. Checking my phone before sleep yielded even more bad news, which led to a fitful, aggravating night. And after a terrible night's sleep, we set off to leave this lousy experience behind us. I was still reeling from the difficulty and funk of the previous day when, a few miles outside of the city, the four of us Kowalchuks stopped to pick berries, fresh blackberries, along the side of the road. When another pilgrim walked up, as they do, and my daughter Tatum invited her to join in. And this pilgrim stopped, and she seemed down, as if she was carrying way more than just her pack. But after introductions, it became clear that this was going to be more than a brief interaction. This woman, named Grace, was from the exact same small town as my wife, Romeo, Michigan. Sarah left in '93 and has never met anyone from Romeo her entire adult life. Yet here on a pilgrimage, half a world away, she met someone who knew what the color of the houses on her street were, who went to the same middle and high school and had the same marching band director. Now, we've all lived small world stories before. I get that. These things happen. But this story became quickly more complex. Grace told us that she was suffering from loneliness and waning motivation and really painful blisters. These were affecting her so much that she was going to quit the Camino that day. That is, she said, until she met Sarah. Meeting someone from her hometown brought her joy. It felt like a sign which inspired her to keep walking her Camino. A few miles down the road, I sidled up to Grace and asked her why she was walking. It's a question I would ask a lot of pilgrims. And Grace told me that she was walking for her ex-boyfriend. They had met 6 years ago and had an intense and cathartic 6-month relationship. It was the first time in her life that Grace felt that she could be her true self, opening up to him about her struggles with anxiety and depression. They had always talked about traveling the world together and going on adventures. Unfortunately, after 6 months, her boyfriend died as a result of his own problems with addiction and depression. Now, 5 years later, Grace had mustered the courage and decided that the Camino was her opportunity to honor him while also letting go of the emotional weight and grief that she was still carrying. She dedicated her Camino to him. And at this moment, we were sitting on a bench outside of a city. And I had first asked her at that point, may I ask what his name was? And she looked at me and she said, his name was Luke. Remember that bad news that I had received the previous night in bed? Tragically, I learned that a close colleague had just lost her 19-year-old son in an unavoidable and unexpected hiking accident back here in Boulder. I sat there in bed, hollow from the difficult day and this new tragedy. I stared dully at my phone, a blank email screen, for 15 minutes before summoning the courage to write to my colleague that my heart was with her and that tomorrow, which was now today, I was going to dedicate my walk to her son and place a stone in a sacred place for him. His name was Luke. Back on the bench, Grace and I sat, strangers, holding hands and crying together. After a bit, I regained my composure enough to share what had happened the previous night with her. The reason for my silence and for my tears. Silently, Grace returned my gaze. We held hands, we grieved for the injustice of tragedy, of lost opportunities, and the pain of letting go. What providence brought me here with this Camino family to this moment, surrounded by these circumstances. Shortly afterwards, we stopped for a bite to eat. Grace kept on, sharing gratitude and that she hoped to find a clinic to soothe her blistered feet for her renewed dedication to her Camino. Later that day, the sun showed me the place in a river for Luke's stone. Walking over sharp rocks, through stinging nettles, and soaking my feet brought me to a spot in the river that was both broken and peaceful, which seemed perfect for the two Lukes. I thought hard for us all and slipped the stone into the waters, hoping that the river would pull away some of that hurt and sadness. I know that it will come as a shock, but it did take me quite a while to realize that maybe, just maybe, I'm not the center of every story that the universe shows me. That maybe my role in this story was to be merely a conduit. That somehow these two souls were linked by more than just name. That my Camino family was linked by more. That maybe we all needed some grace in our life at that moment. This is my Camino, and you are my Camino family. You have all walked with me, guided me, carried my fears, and brought me unexpected providence and grace during all the varied moments of my Camino. You taught me to be courageous, to listen beyond the noise of the river, to let go, hear the message of the universe, and follow my own way. For that, I say thank you and buen camino.
I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak to me. I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak to me. My eyes are wide open. My ears are wide open to see what I may be. I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak to me. I'm Spirit, speak to me. I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak to me. My eyes are wide open. My ears are wide open to see what I may be. I'm listening. I am listening. Listening. Spirit, speak to me. I'm listening. I am listening.
In this moment of silence,
Spirit, speak to me.
I can hear the voices of all my kin
I'm listening.
laughing,
I am listening. Spirit, speak to me. My eyes are wide open. My ears are wide open to see what
for you
I may
and me. Oh,
I'm
in
listening.
this moment of silence,
I am listening.
I hear,
Spirit, speak
I
to
hear.
me.
In the spirit of listening, with eyes wide open, I welcome you into the time of our community connection and sharing. If you're on Zoom and you would like to share a concern, please type into the chat window, sending it to everyone, and let us know briefly what's in your heart today. I'll read out loud what you share, and Linda will add a stone to our sacred waters on your behalf. If you're in the sanctuary today, you can come up front, share your joy or concern using the microphone, holding it straight out in front of you, and add a stone to the waters. Or you can add a stone in silence. Wherever you are, please tell us your name and where you're from when you share.